Okay, so on your catalyst sheet, you're gonna write down your answers to these questions. You're gonna decide if each of these examples is a eukaryotic cell or a prokaryotic cell. After you decide, write a brief explanation for why you think the cell is eukaryotic or why you think the cell is prokaryotic. All right, here's our first one, the E. coli bacteria cell. So it's a type of bacteria named E. coli. Here's a picture of the cell. You need to write down if you think it's a eukaryotic cell or a prokaryotic cell and why. Okay, so you can see the DNA there, the cytoplasm, a little membrane, and that's really it inside the cell. So think if it's prokaryotic or eukaryotic and why. We'll go over the answers at the end. Okay, so the next one, number 2, is the staph bacteria. And here's a little picture of it here. It's a type of bacteria, again, just like E. coli, but a different type of bacteria. So think to yourself if bacteria cells are eukaryotic or prokaryotic. Remember, you can pause this video as you write down your answers to each one, and then play it again to move to the next example. Okay, the third one is a fungi cell. So you can see a picture of it here in detail. So think if a fungi cell, like the one seen here, is eukaryotic or prokaryotic and why. Okay. The next one, human cheek cells. So cells on a human body, and you can see a picture of them here through a microscope, and it's pointing out the different parts of the cheek cell. So the cytoplasm, a nucleus, and a cell membrane. So is this an example of a eukaryotic cell or a prokaryotic cell, and why? Okay, the next one is an onion cell. So an onion is a type of plant. So the onion cell here, you can see here's one cell, and right here is a nucleus. So is this a eukaryotic cell or a prokaryotic cell, and why? Okay, the next example is athlete's foot fungus, and you can see a picture of it here through a microscope. But it's a type of fungus, so that should help you. Is it a eukaryotic cell or a prokaryotic cell? Okay, the next one is spiral bacteria. Remember, that's a type of bacteria. A lot of times bacteria are defined based on their shape. So this is a spiral-shaped bacteria, and you can see it under a microscope here. But it's a type of bacteria. So think of it if it's a eukaryotic cell or a prokaryotic cell, just by the fact that it's a type of bacteria. Okay, the last one are leaf cells, and you can see under the microscope pictures of it here. You can see little chloroplasts, you can see nucleus, different nuclei in the different cells, cytoplasm, and a cell wall. So think if it's a prokaryotic cell or a eukaryotic cell. It's a type of plant. Okay, once you have your answers and your explanations, we're going to go back through and see what the correct answers are. So correct your work as you go and make sure you're really understanding why something's a eukaryotic cell or a prokaryotic cell. Okay, so E. coli bacteria. You can see a picture of the bacteria here. The DNA is just kind of floating around there. It's not in a nucleus. So because there's no nucleus, it has to be a prokaryotic cell. Prokaryotic cells do not have a nucleus. Okay, they also don't really have any organelles, which are different parts of the cell, and you can see here there really are no organelles, just the DNA floating around in cytoplasm. So that's a perfect example of a prokaryotic cell because there's no nucleus. Also, in general, all bacteria are prokaryotic cells. They're all prokaryotic cells. They all kind of look like this. Okay, so the next one, the staph bacteria, again, we can't really see the inside of the cell like we could for the E. coli bacteria, but we know it's a type of bacteria. So just because we know it's a bacteria, we can also know that it's a prokaryotic cell. So staph bacteria is a type of prokaryotic cell. Okay, the next one, the fungi cell, you can see the different parts of the cell. You can see the nucleus that's holding the DNA. So because it has a nucleus and it has all these different organelles, we call the fungi cell a eukaryotic cell. Okay, eukaryotic cells have a nucleus and they have these different organelles. Okay, in general, also most funguses are eukaryotic. So they have eukaryotic cells instead of prokaryotic cells. Okay, human cheek cells. Any type of animal is made up of eukaryotic cells. So humans are a type of animal, so we're made up of eukaryotic cells. Okay, so I could know that without looking at the picture, but the picture really helps prove that point even more because it shows a nucleus in the cell, which helps us know for sure, okay, if there's a nucleus, it must be a eukaryotic cell. Okay, the onion cell. Again, an onion's a type of plant. That could help you already because we know that all plants are eukaryotic cells. Also, I was pointing out that here is a little nucleus. So because it has a nucleus in the cell, it's also a eukaryotic cell. Okay, the fungus, here's athlete's foot fungus. This doesn't really show us the different parts of the cell, which is when you just have to know, like I had said earlier, that funguses, different fungi, are eukaryotic cells. They're made of eukaryotic cells. Okay, so the athlete's foot fungus is a eukaryotic cell because it's a type of fungus. Okay, spiral bacteria, just a different type of bacteria based on the shape. It's a spiral shape. Again, all bacteria are prokaryotic cells, so this is a prokaryotic cell. And then the last one, the leaf cells. Again, a leaf is a type of plant. It's coming from a plant. So plant cells are eukaryotic. And also in the picture, they're showing you that there are nuclei in the different leaf cells. So because there's a nucleus, we know it's a eukaryotic cell. Again, though, because we already know it's a plant cells are eukaryotic. That could also be an explanation. So check your work and make sure that you understand if a cell is eukaryotic or prokaryotic and why.